Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a peach cobbler. If a 13-year-old can do it, anyone can do it. So the first ingredients you're going to want to start off with are 2 cans of diced peaches, and you will want to get 2 cans of pineapple bits, or you could use the big can and get the diced pineapple bits, whichever one works, but make sure not to get the pineapple circles. This is optional. You could get some pie crust to add that extra crunch on top. But to make sure, you will also need some tapioca pudding. It just gives it that extra stickiness that the cobbler needs. And most importantly, you will need some cake mix. We chose chocolate because we've tried this a couple times before and it came out really good, especially with vanilla ice cream. And you also want to make sure that you have some brown sugar on hand to pour on top. And also, you want to make sure you have some butter ready to put on top of the cake mix. Go. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start making the peach cobbler. So first you want to get your 2 cans of peaches and go ahead and pour them in your Dutch oven, juice and everything. Let me go ahead and pour the second one. And then now you want to pour your diced pineapples or pineapple bits, juice and everything as well. And you want to go ahead and add your tapioca pudding. Not too much though, because if you add too much, it's going to be too sticky and it's going to stick hard onto the cobbler. So you want to just add a couple, just enough to give it that. Alright? Now, you want to go ahead and add your cake mix. Try to get it as even as you can, and if it doesn't come out even, go ahead and smear it around. There we go. And now, what you want to go ahead and do is add a bit of brown sugar, like 2 spoonfuls. 2 spoonfuls should be good. You could add a bit more if you would like, if you like your cobbler really sweet. Now, you want to go ahead and start cutting some butter. Add a couple of butter. Sometimes it could require the whole stick, sometimes it could require half the stick. Just depending on your Dutch oven and how big it is, and how big of a cobbler you also want to do. So we're gonna go ahead and add the butter. That should be good. So like somewhere around between 5 to 6 little pieces. Now you want to go ahead, and this is optional, but we like the extra pie. So you would now want to go ahead and add your pie strips. Let's cut a bit more. Kind of want to fold it down a bit too, just to make sure that it doesn't get stuck on top. So if you're doing pie strips, you might want to add about 6 of them to make that pie crust. So there we go. Now what we're gonna go ahead and do is close this up and go get our coals ready. Okay everyone, so this is the second part where now what you're gonna need is some charcoal, some tongs, one of these to pick up the cobbler when it's hot. Also, what you're gonna need is a charcoal starter, 2 aluminum pans. This one is for the coals, and then this one itself is for when you put the coals with the Dutch oven. Also, it's recommended that you put 2 bricks if you're doing this on tile or any type of ground for that matter, just so that way it doesn't crack, break, or anything. So now I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to pack the charcoal starter. So first, what you're gonna wanna do is grab enough coals to go about 75% of the way up there. And that's about how many coals you're gonna want. Next, you're gonna wanna grab your pan, put that right there, and go ahead and grab some type of paper of some sort. Grab some newspaper, grab some paper towels, grab some regular paper, whatever you can find, go ahead and use. But you can use cardboard, but it's gonna create a lot of ashes and we don't really want that. So what you're gonna go ahead and wanna do is grab paper towels and start stuffing them at the bottom. Start stuffing them at the bottom. Just enough so that way we could go ahead and light it, and it's gonna go ahead and start the coals. You're also gonna wanna grab a little more just in case the fire doesn't start immediately. So see, for this amount of coals, I use practically the whole thing. So now you place it on your pan, and now you're gonna wanna go ahead and grab a lighter of some sort and go ahead and light the coals. Now you should go ahead and see some smoke starting to rise. And whenever the paper starts to die off, you're gonna go ahead and wanna start putting some more newspaper, things like that. And once, you'll be able to tell once the coals are done, once they start turning red, they start turning white, or you see a big old flame coming out from right here. You'll start to see a whole bunch of flames coming out. And let's see, we're gonna go ahead and light another piece. And that's gonna go ahead and starting the fire. And if you want, you could also blow on it to help it give it that extra support that it needs to start the fire. So see, at this moment, since the fire isn't fully started, we're gonna go ahead and wanna go put some more paper in there. Now just be careful that you don't burn yourself, for all the 13-year-olds or teenagers that are trying to do this with their father or mother, trying to make a good old dessert for after dinner. So see, now our fire's starting to go ahead and start. But you wanna make sure not to burn yourself. I've learned from experience after doing this many times and burning myself multiple times. So if you can, go ahead and get some fireproof gloves or something just to protect yourself a little better. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and let that catch on fire a little better. We could go ahead and light that. Let me go to the other side. There we go. That one's lit by itself already. So now we're gonna go ahead and let this sit for a little until we start seeing flames or the coals start turning red. Okay, so now at this very moment, we've been adding paper for a little while now, and as you can see, there's a little tiny flame starting to come up. That's a good sign that your coals are starting to become more alive and more hot. So until the flame's like about right here, that's how you'll know when your coals are done. Alright, so just in case, if some of your coals are out and not fully cooked, you want to make sure that you could start them up again, or if you do not have enough coals, go ahead and put some more in the charcoal starter. And every once in a while, you want to make sure to check on your cobbler and check on your coals. And you want to tap them as well to make sure that they're still red. If they're not red anymore, you could go ahead and switch them out with ones at the bottom or the ones that are being cooked again. Okay, so we went ahead to showcase to you guys. So we put some brand new coals and some old coals that weren't cooked enough. You do the same exact procedure as you did earlier, where you stack it up with some paper towels, paper, things like that. Stock it up with some coals, and also put some that aren't fully cooked yet. But when you're transferring, you have to grab it, pour some around, and the old ones that aren't good enough yet, you want to go ahead and take them out and replace them. But you also want to make sure that you go ahead and tap them. See, like this one, how it's dead. You want to go ahead and put it in there, and go ahead and get one that's alive. See, like this one. There we go. If you can see some red, like this one, nope, not red. You want to go ahead and grab one from the bottom, give it that shake test. There's some red right there. There we go. We're good. You also want to make sure when you're cooking your coals that when your metal gets hot, you want to make sure to have something under, like for example, we have 2 pieces of wood, and you hear that sizzling? That sizzling's coming from the cobbler. Alright, so now when you hear sizzling like that, you want to make sure that you have one of these sticks to go ahead and open it up. And ooh, check that out. That's how you know that cobbler's cooking real good. But if you smell a little bit of burning, you want to go ahead and remove a whole bunch of coals to keep the top from burning or from the bottom burning. Okay, so now our coals are looking pretty alive. So the next process is grabbing them and transferring them. As you can see, these coals are already kind of dead, so we're gonna have to kind of transfer them. Now, let's take a look at what the cobbler looks like. That looks pretty good. Now, next what we're gonna do is go ahead and transfer the coals. So you might want to remove the ones from the top to give space for the new ones. Okay, so we went ahead and went to transfer, so you want to make sure that you have 10 on the top and 20 at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm gonna remove 2 more. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and check out the cobbler. We put a couple more coals on top just because our cobbler came out a little watery from the juice. And with that result, it came out a little better. Now, it's fine if we got a fudgy cake, so it came out looking fudgy. So I would say we leave it there for a couple more minutes once the top's almost done cooking. And one recommendation is leave a little bit of juice out. Alright, cut. Alright, so now you can tell when your cobbler's done is when you can smell it coming out. And there's still some juice because we kind of put too much juice, so it's alright. The cobbler will still come out good with some ice cream, and when we let it sit, it should come out drier. So you should also know that when it's done, when your pie crust is all cooked. Alright, so we went ahead and transferred the peach cobbler from the coals to the blocks of wood. So what you're gonna wanna do is let it sit for about 10 to 20 minutes, around that time, maybe a little more. And here's what the after looks like. Doesn't that look good? Doesn't that make your mouth water? If a 13-year-old can do it, you could do it. So why not give it a shot? All right, everyone. So now we're getting ready to serve. So we're gonna go ahead and open up the cobbler, and we're gonna grab a piece and serve it with some delicious vanilla ice cream. Let's get some of those peaches too. All right. Go ahead and check that out. Looks good, doesn't it? All right. So now, what we're gonna wanna do is go ahead, grab some vanilla ice cream. Grab a good chunk too. Put that on top. All right. So now, what you've got here is a delicious peach cobbler. I'm gonna go ahead and put it more into the fire so you guys can see it more. Now check that out. All right. Now let's give it a taste test. Let's grab our spoon right here. Get a scoop of everything, right? So, just because it came out a little watery doesn't mean that you can't save it. This came out delicious. I recommend that you try it, and because a 13-year-old can do it, you can do it. So I went ahead and poured myself some peach cobbler with some ice cream. Nothing's better than having a nice, delicious, warm dessert on a late night Sunday evening. I'm enjoying it right next to the leftover coals fire. So, remember, if a 13-year-old can do it, you can do it. See you guys in the next video.